Hello everybody, Justin with Mycelium Work here. Today I'm doing a video to show you how to utilize liquid culture techniques to expand your mushroom genetics. This liquid culture recipe consists of distilled or purified water, light malt extract, peptone, and some corn syrup. Now we're going to be spending most of today's video up in the laboratory, so without further ado, I'll see you up there. So here we are up in the lab. I'm going to show you guys how to make your own liquid culture to expand your mushroom genetics out onto. You're going to want a couple mason jars with some special made lids, one with a self-healing ejection port and a micron patch. You can get these pre-made online. I get mine from Mycelium, or you can order the pieces separate to make your own. Now, our liquid culture recipe consists of about 18 to 20 grams of corn syrup, about 1.2 to 1.3 grams of light malt extract, and about 1 gram of peptone. Now, if you have a stir plate, great. Isn't needed for the video. I'm going to utilize one for an even mix. I'm going to start by taking my mason jar lid off. You're going to want to use distilled or purified water. I'm going to start by filling my mason jar up to the 600 milliliter mark. Going to start by weighing out my 18 to 20 grams of corn syrup. At about 19.2 grams, that'll do. Gonna scoop that into the mixture. Gonna give that a mix before I add any of the other nutrients. Now I'm gonna weigh out my light malt extract and peptone. Going to start by weighing out 1.2 to 1.3 grams of light malt extract. There's our 1.2 grams. Then I'm going to weigh out a gram of peptone. Peptone will definitely smell a little funky. There's our gram of peptone. Going to add that to the mixture. And I'm going to give it a nice stir. You want to make sure to mix it up evenly. I'm going to utilize a stir plate to do so. Going to add my magnetic stir bar. Drop that in. I'm going to add my custom lid. And we're going to stir this up. Once all your jars of liquid culture are evenly mixed up, it is time to put them through the autoclave, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm going to run them for about 60 to 90 minutes at 15 psi to get an even sterilization. And yeah, I'll see you down there. It's a good protective measure to add tinfoil to the top of your mason jar lids. This will just protect the self-healing ejection port in the micron patch. So I'm going to go ahead and place a piece over each. As so. Now it's time to load them in the autoclave. So one important tip I forgot to mention is you do not want your mason jar lids too tight. This could cause your mason jars to actually break in your autoclave and cause a big mess. The tin foil will take care of any sort of boil over, so it'll help control the mess if there's any. But yeah, I'll show you guys how to autoclave now. I have my jars packed in like so. Don't want to pack them in too tight for an even sterilization process. Gonna want to attach our lid here. Gonna screw it on tightly. Now I'm gonna start my autoclave up. We're gonna run the autoclave for about 30 minutes. This should be a sufficient amount of time for a perfect sterilization process for our liquid culture jars. Gonna start it up and it's gonna build the required PSI to evenly sterilize these jars. Now, one thing I did want to mention, before you utilize these liquid culture jars after they're done in the autoclave, you're going to want to let them cool down to about room temperature. Otherwise, you can actually harm your mushroom genetics and you won't get a successful growth. Before you close your air escape valve, you'll want to make sure you see a little bit of steam, hear a little whistle. That way you know that all the trapped air in there has been released. This will lead for a more even sterilization process. We will close our valve and it'll start building the required pressure for a perfect sterilization. So now that our liquid culture jars are done in the autoclave and we've let them cool down to room temperature, we can now inoculate these. I'm going to remove my jars from the autoclave. Now we'll head up to our laboratory so I can show you guys how to inoculate these. I'll see you up there. So here we are back up in the lab. I'm going to show you how to inoculate 2 of these liquid culture jars that we just ran through our autoclaves. Today I'm utilizing the chestnut genetic and pialpino genetic of mushrooms. I have sterile needles for my syringes. I'm going to start by wiping my needle down before I flame sterilize the needle. And then this will actually go directly into the self-healing ejection port. I'm going to eject about 2 to 3 cc's of this 10 cc syringe. We're going to want to heat our needle up until it's glowing orange. You're going to want to give it a little time to cool down naturally. We're going to want to stick this directly through the self-healing ejection port. I'm going to inject about 3 cc's as so. And you're all done inoculating. You should see some healthy growth after about a week. I'd say to fully colonize these jars with healthy mycelium, it'll take about 2 to 3 weeks. If you have a stir plate, I'd stir it up after you notice some healthy growth. I'd say once every other day, give it a nice stir. We're going to do this again with the chestnut genetic. Going to get an entirely new wipe just to be safe. Gonna let it naturally cool down. Then I'm going to inject this directly into the self-healing ejection port of my other jar. Again, I'm going to inoculate this jar using about 3 cc's of my 10 cc syringe, as so. And our inoculations are complete. You're going to want to save your black piece and to put it back on your syringe for safe keeping, as so. And now we are done with our inoculations. Now, if you're a viewer that does not want to go through the process of making your own liquid culture or any of the products I've made informational videos over, I do offer these products on my website, myceliumwork.com, and I can link that in the description for you. And that'll do it for today's video on liquid culture, guys. If you found this video informative and you learned a thing or two, please drop a like, subscribe to my channel for future content. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below in the comments, and I'll make sure to get back to you with an answer. I'll see you next time.